Welcome in, guys. This week, I'm just going to break down the film of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, show you what the Packers should expect, and what the Buccaneers are probably going to do against the Packers. So I used a film from the Atlanta Falcons to break down the Buccaneers, because the Falcons have a similar offense, lots of motions, lots of sweeps, and so on, that it's going to be a very similar matchup. So in the film, you'll see exactly what I'm going to talk about. I'll break down different examples of what they do well, what they don't do well, so then you can see how the Packers might want to exploit it. Let me know what you think the score is going to be down below. I don't have my keys for the game this week, so I'll make sure that I get it in next week's video. But I think the Packers will have a slight advantage in this game just because they have home field advantage, and I think it'll be roughly a 24-21 type game. So it'll be close, but I think the Packers come out victorious in this one. All right, we're going to get started with looking at Tampa Bay and what they do well on defense. So we're going to look at some of the things that LaFleur does in his offense that we're probably going to see Tampa Bay try to defend against. And one of these is going to be the short kind of screen and bubble game. So I'm going to show a few bubbles and show you what the Tampa Bay defense reacts like. And that's probably what I'm going to expect on game day. Hopefully LaFleur doesn't call a lot of these screens and bubbles, because Tampa Bay's defense looks fairly disciplined. And when we look at these corners, Carlton Davis luckily is not going to be playing against the Packers. He is ruled as doubtful, so I don't think that we will see him. And of course, Ryan Neal, who is also here, is also ruled out. So these two aggressive corners are not going to be in the game. Of course, Ryan Neal is playing safety. And we're going to see a lot of Winfield and McCollum in this game. But this is going to be showing you one of these kind of like smoke screens where these blockers are going to try to get out in front and get some quick, easy yardage. But of course, Tampa Bay is going to be able to play this quite easily and blow up the play for a minimal gain. So we're going to take a look here. And of course, offensive line doesn't get out there very quick, and it's a short 3-yard gain. Up next, we've got another jet sweep. This is something that LaFleur loves doing. You probably see it a lot with Jaden Reed, but of course, this is going to be with Bijan Robinson, so he's going to be up here. He's going to be starting and coming across, getting the handoff from Ritter, and then he's going to be trying to kind of take the edge here and score a touchdown. And he does get a very nice block, but you're going to see that the Tampa Bay Bucs love their man coverage. So after the snap, you're going to kind of see this motion by 52, and he's going to be the one that ends up making the play. And you've got, of course, Matthews, who's going to be the lead blocker in this situation. So you're going to get some down blocks, trying to force these defenders to kind of get caught up in traffic, and then Matthews is going to pull out and hopefully get a one-on-one matchup on the DB on the outside. And that's exactly what happens. But of course, you've got 52 that is a man, and he's just focused on Robinson, and he's going to work through traffic and make a great tackle to stop a touchdown. So let's watch this play out, see what happens. You got the tight coverage going to be coming in to block down the motion. 52 full on. So you can see it looks like this play at this point is going to be a success. You do kind of have a little bit of a hold, down here. That's probably a hold. You can see him pulling the arm, but of course, that's not going to get called. There's holding on every down, basically. And we're going to play through this again. And Matthews makes contact with the DB, gets cut, but 52, a great athletic play to come all the way across the field and make that tackle. So this is something that we see typically from their middle linebackers. Levante David, very good. Britt, also very good. You can see him moving across the formation here and able to make a tackle. Love to see Bijan try to get towards that outside pylon, but of course, Britt makes an incredible play to stop the touchdown. All right, now looking at this next play, we're going to see those aggressive corners again. Of course, we've got deep corners here. So eventually this motion is going to be happening. That's going to be an orbit motion, and this is where that bubble is going. So the whole purpose of this is that you're going to catch the ball out here, and of course you're going to have these two blockers up here, but these corners are going to be quite aggressive, and they're going to be able to come down and disrupt this play. Let's go ahead and watch it. Of course, we've got that motion. We can see McCollum is winning right here. He's already got Drake London off balance, and he's going to be able to kind of cut in here in order to make a play. And he's already passed the block, which is forcing kind of a traffic jam, and it allows the linebackers to kind of flow back, but it's going to be the corners that end up making this play. So again, from the backside, you've got that orbit motion, the play action, and then a little dump off. Not very good by Ritter. And of course, you've got a tight end trying to swing out and make a play there, but it doesn't happen. All right, this next play is just a great read by Carlton Davis. We're so lucky that we're not going to have to play against him. He's a fairly good corner. He is aggressive, though, so he can get beat at times. But this is just an amazing read and good film study by Carlton Davis. So we're going to see a little motion out, and that's going to be that kind of bubble screen for Bijan Robinson out of the backfield, and Carlton Davis is going to see this the entire way. So he's just going to basically cut this off. He's going to intercept it, and then, of course, he's not going to be scoring a touchdown. It was ruled a touchdown on the field, but, of course, he was going to be touched by Bijan Robinson, and he's going to be down where he intercepts it. But let's just see this kind of play out. Of course, you know, LaFleur is going to be doing a lot of these motions and screens, and hopefully he doesn't rely on them too heavily. But we can see Ritter turns his back. If we go back here, turns his back to fake the motion. You can kind of see the offensive line is starting to move down to the short side of the field, thinking that it's going to be a play action. Ritter has no idea that Carlton Davis has already read what's happening. He can see that 15 is facing towards 23, and he's just going to kind of slice in front. And Ritter has been kind of throwing lollipops this entire game, so he has enough time to get in front. Of course, he gets touched by Robinson there, so he's going to be down at about the 6-yard line, but that's going to lead to a Tampa score. Here you see the motion. Immediately throws it. Carlton Davis with a good read and a nice interception. All right, one of these keys that we're going to take a look at, obviously, with Tampa Bay's defense is going to be this player right here. Winfield, incredible player, and just going to show you kind of the danger that he brings from this Tampa Bay defense. And we're going to see him up in the box here. So the free safety is up in the box. He's going to end up on the line of scrimmage. We'll play it just a little bit so you can see that movement. You can see him moving up to the line, and he's essentially going to be one-on-one with a fullback here. And he's going to use that speed, a little bit choppy on the footage, but he's going to end up getting around Ritter and forcing a fumble. At the man, of course, usually the person that gives up the sack is going to be the one that falls on the fumble. So we see him fall on this fumble, and that is going to be a safety. So we've got the free safety blitz coming off the edge that's going to end up forcing this fumble. So we see him moving up here to the line slowly, and then he's going to come around the edge, get around that block, and end up forcing that fumble, which is going to be 2 points for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right, so looking at this play, this is one of the plays that Green Bay could potentially exploit. We know that the Tampa Bay defense loves to do a lot of different things. They show a lot of different fronts, but they primarily play man coverage. And this is going to be a cover one blitz where they're essentially sending the Mike. So the Mike is the middle linebacker. He's going to come in through the middle on a blitz, and you're going to have one high safety. So Winfield is going to be the middle of the field safety. He's got great range. He's an amazing player. So he's going to be playing that middle high zone, the deep zone. And then you're going to have man across the board. So essentially, 30 is going to be responsible for this man, so he's basically going to be eyeing him. He's going to have a delayed release. Then you've got 29, who's going to be taking Pitts. 27, that's going to be taking the outside receiver. 54 is going to be man with Bijan. And 24 is going to be man on Drake London. So you're going to have essentially a 5-man rush. So all your defensive line is going to be going. So you're going to have 5-on-5. You're going to have 2 checks here. So Robinson and Jonnu Smith are both going to be staying in line for a little bit. So it's going to kind of cause a little bit of a traffic jam. But in the end, if you play man and you don't get to the quarterback, which you're going to see here, they don't get to the quarterback, it's going to leave a lot of matchups open. So London is going to get Carlton Davis to turn his hips, and that's going to leave him wide open on a corner route. And a corner route is obviously going to be this kind of like perfect route, because we've got him coming out this way and then breaking out. And if you've got a middle high safety who's got to be responsible for every man on the field, he's not going to have the range to get over and help Carlton Davis on this. So let's watch this play out, see what happens, talk through it. So again, you've got that Mike coming down the middle. They slide. You've got a late stunt over, but there's just a bunch of traffic in here, so you're not actually going to be able to do anything about it. And you can see the hips of Carlton Davis facing the wrong way, right? He's facing this way. We've got London going this way. So this is going to be an easy 1v1. And you can see Ritter is just setting his feet in order to make that throw. You'd like to see him set his feet a little bit earlier and hit him in stride. But of course, you know, it's not perfect, and this is going to be a wide open shot anyways. So you can see now he's making that throw after the break. Nice high point and a good big play for the Falcons. But you can see if you're running this man coverage, you have to win your matchups. Otherwise, you're going to be exploited. There's a nice catch. Easy first down. All right, so looking at this next play, they're going to be sending 6 rushers, which is going to leave a back that's wide open. So this is something that, again, Todd Bowles loves doing. He loves bringing different pressures, different looks. So I'm not sure if this is meant to be a cover 1 with someone deep and leaving someone uncovered. It's probably more meant to be a cover 0 and somebody messed up. So I think 52 here is messing up his read, and he's not actually covering the right person. So I think he is supposed to be the one responsible for Robinson here, but he ends up taking one of these tight ends on the outside. So that's going to leave Robinson wide open. So if we take a look as this play breaks down, you can see 52 thinking that he's responsible for one of these tight ends. You've got a nice crossing route. This is great design for man coverage. You've got players that are open across the board, right? Of course, this is something where they're letting you catch it in front of them, and then they come up and make the play afterwards, right? So they're going to try to make that tackle there. You've got these two that are essentially kind of crossing. So it's going to create some traffic, which is going to try to cut off some of these routes just by play design. And of course, you've got the player out in the flat, where if 52 is out here, it's still probably an easy completion. And I think 31 is supposed to take one of these tight ends if he comes over the top. But there was either a miscommunication or just sort of a blown coverage, depending on what they tried to do. But of course, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rushers, which means you only have 5 defending. You've got 5 receivers, so it should be man across the board, but that's not really what happens here. So let's finish this play out. Robinson wide open in the flat, and again, this is a second down. So somebody blew their assignment there, and it leads to an easy first down for the Falcons. All right, so I've said this a lot already. Todd Bowles loves to bring pressure, loves to show multiple blitzes, and this is another one where we're going to see a lot of these blitzes, and it's essentially going to be this kind of slant to the right where you're going to have this blitzer, and this is going to set up their run at just perfect. Prefer just showing this view because it shows the open lanes, and with a zone run game like the Packers, you should be able to get some cutbacks, and hopefully the running backs are able to get some yardage out of it. But this is just one of those examples of, if the blitz is going one way, just turn your hips and push them where they want to go, because this is going to open up a lot of running lanes. And we'll look at this for the Falcons. You can see that shift over. You've got the motion. It's man coverage. He's bumping him out. But all these guys get caught up in traffic, right? And because it's a read option, a little bit blurry there, because it's the read option, it stalls Barrett just enough where you're going to able to get a nice gain up the middle. So of course you've got that motion just to figure out if it's man, and if it's man, you know, they have to stick with their man. So it's just a little bit to hesitate, and it's perfect for that kind of run game. And kind of following along the same line, we just need to hope that the Packers running backs are healthy, because AJ Dillon, Aaron Jones, both questionable. Not sure if they're actually going to play, but we do have this issue of whether or not they can exploit this matchup. You know, you've got Kenyon Drake, who's probably going to get elevated if one of those backs can't go. And we know that Kenyon Drake could be a good receiver out of the backfield, and that's where the Packers are going to want to kind of exploit that matchup. So we're going to see here, looking at the Falcons, this motion that starts. You have Robinson that comes in. So he's going to be coming in on this motion, and then he's going to go back out on that motion. But that motion is basically to tell us that number 23 is on him in man. And if you look at this play design, it is just to make sure they're in man coverage. And if Ritter is reading this guy moving on that motion, he knows for a fact that is going to be man coverage. So Ritter knows already that he has to go to the man beater, and that's going to be number 7 down there. If you've got a safety that's halfway into the end zone, that's on a back, this is supposed to be a walk-in touchdown, but it is not a good throw. So let's watch the play. He does have pressure in his face, so he throws it a little bit outside, but a little bit too far outside. And if he makes a throw that's a little bit to the left, a yard to the left, that is an easy touchdown. And that's one of the matchups to exploit. Of course, you see Winfield again coming down in the box, and he's going to get free pressure. So he doesn't fall for this play action, mainly because Ritter doesn't actually do any sort of fake. He immediately gets into a throwing position and just kind of throws this in the dirt in front of Robinson. But that was a really good play design, just not great execution by the quarterback position. Okay, so this next play is going to be something where I'm going to be focusing on the edge rushers of Tampa. All right, we're going to see these edge rushers, guys on the outside that are going to be coming upfield, essentially. You've got them coming all the way upfield, and these guys spread so far down the field that it essentially tries to force the quarterback to step up. All right, so you've got some guys on the inside that are essentially going to be holding the front of the pocket, but there's going to be some rush lanes. You can already see in the alignment here, you know, you've got a huge gap on the left side. And if these edge rushers are constantly trying to get upfield and then eventually they wrap around and they're trying to kind of either collapse on the backside, or these defensive tackles, the interior defensive line, are going to get pressure from the front. And this is something that Jordan Love can probably take advantage of. He's athletic enough to do it. But we're going to watch this play go out. You can see they start to shift just in case there's a run. And you've got these edge rushers that are coming upfield, and it creates some pressure, which forces Ritter to step up. And you can see he's got a few open receivers. Robinson doesn't really have anyone on him. Smith doesn't have anyone on him. So, yes, it's okay that his next read is going to be kind of up here to the right and he gets a throw off. But if you just look at these lanes, if you are throwing it, and these guys are covered, if the rush gets too far upfield and you step up, you have free yards. So if it's a first or second down and you can't find anyone that's open, you can't make the throw, step up, take the yards, slide down, easy yardage, and that's going to force the defense to, stay honest and actually cover the quarterback. So let's watch this play out. Of course, he ends up hitting Smith there and gets very, very close to a first down. All right, and this is going to be the last thing that I show for the Tampa Bay defense, and this is going to be in terms of their cover 3. So you're going to see this a lot from the Tampa defense. You're going to have one high safety. So you've got your one high safety. And usually if you've got a one high safety, that means you're going to be playing either cover 1 or cover 3. Tampa Bay plays mostly cover 1, but this is going to be one of those instances where they play cover 3. So the people that are responsible for this cover 3 are going to be the outside corner, the middle safety, and the other outside corner. And this is essentially going to be putting some stress on these corners. So something that is usually quite good against cover 3 is attacking these seams. So then you force a choice by this guy to pick one of those receivers. And that's not exactly what happens. You're going to have kind of a free runner on a corner route because you're going to be stressing. They decide to stress the flat defender here. So you're going to have a vertical route that's going to try to take Carlton Davis. And then you're essentially going to have an out and up by Kyle Pitts, where you have someone that comes out in the flat, which takes the attention of Winfield. So that out and up is then going to be wide open for Pitts to score. Let's take a look. You can see Pitts already making that out. Winfield expecting. This is one of the problems with Winfield is he's not paying attention. He's in zone. He's keeping his eyes on the quarterback. He already saw in his peripheral that this man has cut. Oh, it's going to be an out route, and he's just trying to kind of cut in front of it. But he leaves his teammate out to dry here. So he's, again, I said earlier, he plays on instinct, and this is one of those times where you can actually play off of his instinct and do a double move in order to win these matchups. So already here we can see Pitts wide open. Winfield was expecting him. He turns around right here, and he was expecting him to just get here to the first down. It is 2nd and 10, right? So you've got this expectation, oh, this isn't going to be a shot play. You can see this guy coming across the formation as well, and that's going to be essentially why Winfield decides to play his kind of curl flat. Because usually you've got your deep 3, right? So you've got your deep corner there, you have got your deep safety, and then you're supposed to have your deep 3rd there. So deep 3rd here, didn't see any threats, so he's a little bit short. Middle safety sees this post route, kind of a skinny post, heading towards the front side of the end zone. And then you've got that kind of double move, sluggo to the outside. That's going to be wide open for Pitts. So Carlton Davis realizes that too slow, and he's not able to make a play on it. So again, we'll watch it from the back end. Nice throw by Ritter. Easy completion, easy touchdown. All right, so I'm going to quickly go over Tampa Bay's offense and just look at some of the things that the Packers should try to do. They should try to exploit. Of course, we've got a toss play here, so it's going to be a toss out to White. And this is something that the Packers should try to do, because White hasn't looked very good on film in terms of cutting back upfield. And you're going to see that there's essentially going to be this slide over here, and there's going to be a force where they're going to try to force him to cut back. And he doesn't do a very good job of cutting back. So here you can see outside defender is forcing him to cut back. And then you've got the flow of the defense, and he essentially stops, doesn't even turn his shoulders, and gets tackled easily in the backfield. So this is one of the things that the Packers can actually focus on. If they know that there's going to be an outside run, an outside toss, try to beat Wirfs to the outside, force the runner to cut back, and he doesn't really have the same agility to cut back. All right, so this is something that the Packers probably run quite often as well, but this is play action. It's the West Coast offense. So they've set up a bunch of runs, and now they're going to try this play action pass. And this is going to be essentially a play action cross, where you're going to have a deeper post from the left side of the field. You're going to have a cross here, and then eventually you're going to have a delayed under as well. So you're going to have this free runner on the field. So you can see Godwin is kind of taking this over, and then 19 is running free on the under. And this is the problem if you decide to play man defense against this team. So if you're playing man, you have to win your matchups, and this isn't necessarily a win for the Falcons here. So you can see 19 does a good job of using his hands, sheds the player there, and is able to get open for an easy first down. Now, something I noticed on film is looking at their red zone rush game, and their running game in the end zone is actually quite solid. When they have this mindset of we're going to be going forward and we need to try to score, you're going to have a very good push on the offensive line, and you're going to have a nice block and seal upfield here. You get White with the handoff, kind of an inside zone that ends up going outside the tackle, and you've got Otten who's blocking downfield. And then the next play, you're going to have essentially a read option. So you're going to have Baker here reading this edge. So if this edge is going to be biting on this play fake, he comes up here, then Baker is going to take the ball and go on the outside. And that's exactly what's going to happen. And Baker is a competitor, so you're going to see here at the end of this run that he's going to end up fighting for this touchdown. Probably not the right read by Baker. If we look back at it, it's probably not a good spot, but he's got the guy in motion, so it's essentially like a power. I think if he hands it off, that's probably an easy touchdown for White. Either White makes it through here or tries to cut back. Yeah, he would have walked in if he had the ball. He's already in the end zone, but Baker decides to take it and gets the touchdown for the Buccaneers. So you got this motion. I think Otten is probably meant to either take the edge here so they don't have to worry about him. I don't think that would be the play, though. I think Otten is supposed to actually go up fields and take out the next level defender. Because the point of the read option is so you actually don't have to block a guy, and you force his decision so you can leave him unblocked, right? So you're supposed to here force this guy to decide if he comes in. He comes in and bites on the running back, and then you keep the ball and you go outside. If he doesn't, if he stays outside, maintains outside leverage, stays here, then you're supposed to hand the ball off and get a free run into the end zone. So the point of a read option is to leave this guy unblocked. Probably should be, if he's coming in motion here, I think he's supposed to be heading upfield, but I think Otten is a rookie. Probably didn't really know what he was meant to do here. And instead, he's just hoping that the quarterback gets in. You can see him turn his head and look back at him as if he didn't actually know what he needed to do. So he looks back, he's like, oh, Baker still has the ball, and then we end up getting a touchdown. All right, so I'm going to look at one of these interesting plays that the Bucs ran that I think the Packers might actually struggle against, and it's essentially a power trap play where they're going to have a player that is going to pull from the opposite side of the formation, and it ends up being the tackle that pulls. So you're going to have this kind of motion out here, and then you're going to have this tackle kind of pull behind. So it's going to be a little bit of a slow handoff, but the Packers, for some reason, don't do very well against these traps. They don't do very well where there are runs where the running back has to go through a certain hole no matter what. So a power type run, they don't do very well against. So this is one of the plays that you might see from the Bucs, where number one is supposed to be getting upfield, following that lead blocker, getting through the gap, and getting some yardage. And the last play that I'm going to look at for the Tampa offense, their offense is very similar to the Packers. So, hopefully Joe Barry understands how to play against them a little bit and understands what is going to be exposed here. But this is something that the Barry defense uses a lot of anyways, and it's going to be these kind of stunts. And it might not get a sack, but it also just creates pressure to force a bad throw. So we're going to take a look here at the offensive line. And we're going to see that 55, he's going to have essentially this delayed blitz. So this looks like a psycho front, right? You've got the old Dom Capers defense, the psycho front, where essentially you've got nobody with a hand in the dirt, and then you've got this wrap all the way around the edge that is essentially going to lead to a bad throw.